Hey everyone out there on YouTube, this is Spartan077 again, and somebody recently brought to me the idea of how do I know that God hears me? How is it that I can be able to understand that God does acknowledge my prayers? Well, I mean, the idea of communication, I guess, would come into play. I mean, the fact is, when you say something, for communication to be established, you expect a response. You accept somebody to be able to understand what it is that you've said and be able to give an answer as to what you think, feel, or understand about that particular situation. Basically, it takes two to tango. It's not one-sided. That's not communication. Um, God, I would say, does not just talk to you. Um, I don't think it's that simple. A lot of people tend to think that, oh, so God talks to you. What does he say to you? Do you ever ask him questions? Well, I think the concept of actually speaking to God uh, is severely, I would say, misunderstood. Um, this is something I haven't really studied up on. But from what I see, God acknowledges communication that I hold with him through things that happen within my life and how my prayers are answered, as in whether or not they come with a negative response or a positive response. Um, a lot of people would say, well, basically that could just also be attributed to random things, acts, random events within your life, and you just interpreted them as God is just saying yes or no to something you pray for. Well, you know what, that's all fine and dandy, and that's your personal belief. But, the fact is, I see in the Bible that things are actually confirmed by God through events and things that happen. So maybe, before you go and decide to say something like that, understand in the context of the Bible that prayers are answered in that way within the Bible. Events like different prophecies are fulfilled through events that happen in the Bible. So maybe prayers could be answered that way as well. Um, I would say, though, someone actually brought that to me, and is like, so how do you know that your answers are being answered? I mean, answers are being answered? How do you know that your prayers are being answered or not? Well, what I do is, I there was a one time where I was very young. My family was in very hard times, and I think some of the viewers here that have watched me for a very long time understand where it is that I come from. I come from a very harsh upbringing. Not very harsh, like, oh, violent, but financially hard. Uh, my mom and dad had a very hard time financially managing. And it wasn't so much as that we were bad people or, it was something of our own doing. We just had some really bad luck. Um, I don't believe in luck, but that's just how I put it. But I will say that basically everything was in shambles. I mean, my mom and dad, you know, everything was working out fine, and all of a sudden, kaput. There was a very big amount of time where I spent praying to God that He would pull us out of this situation. He would pull us out of the poverty that we were in and be able to grant us, the I prayed for my mom and dad being able to own a house again, being able to be financially stable, and to be able to provide for my siblings. Not even myself, just my siblings. Because I figured I'd be able to make it on my own. I tried to be very independent as a child, even though I was very dependent. And I tried to do things that would help my family, and I considered myself outside of the family in some of those aspects. Um, I would say that he answered my prayer. As to whether or not it came as quickly as I would like, that's not my choice. It did come. The fact is, it did come. My prayer was answered, and my mom and dad have a house. There was another time where I prayed that I would meet a beautiful woman and I would fall in love with her. And that did happen as well. Very sadly, though, she was, actually dumped her. And I would say that under the circumstances she was taken from me. But the fact is, I dumped her because I felt that it would be better for us. That's a very sad fact, but, that's what I did. The fact is, if I love something so much, I should be able to let it go. And that's what I did. A lot of the things that I've asked for within my life have been provided for me. And it's not of anything that I did. It's just we had what you would consider, I would say, is an answer from God as to in regards to my prayers. You might consider it luck. But the fact is, if I prayed for it and there was a response to it, I think that there's a God out there. And that's how I would say God would confirm his existence through answering of prayer. This is something that was just recently put to me, and I'm creating this video out of a very uh, impulsive response to a YouTube viewer. And take it how you like it. The fact is, I've made prayers to God, and they have been answered. As to how they've been answered, I might not like, but I do get a lot of the things that I pray for. I think people just are kind of closed-minded to this idea. Fact is, if you want something that much, you will have it. You will. Not saying like you should demand it from God, because that means God's not Santa Claus either. But if you can truly work towards something and hope within your own heart that God will fulfill your want for that thing, he will provide it for you, I believe. But, you know, if you want weed or something that might cause harm to you, there are consequences to that. I mean, that idea, you know, if you want something that will actually harm you, yeah, you might get it, but then there are consequences that go with it as well. Anything you want really has consequences. So, I'm going to leave you guys with that. Just understand that God does answer prayer. It is a very powerful thing. I'll tell you quite honestly, he's answered a very recent prayer of mine. When I lost the first girl that I fell in love with, I never ever thought out of the hardness of my own heart that I would be able to find love again. Because the first girl that I was with cherished me and loved me so much. And I feel like I can find it again now. And time actually creates one hell of a bandage, I would say. You can be healed over time. And it's probably been about the past 2 or 3 years now that it's taken that time for me to heal to the point at which I can venture out and meet new women and try and find a spouse and try to find somebody that could care for me. As of late, I've been a little more, you know, resistant to girls, and I kind of don't want to talk to them. But now I'm actually very open, and I'm listening.